Okay, we got a problem with the Triassic era in my mind. This is supposedly Triassic rock, all this stuff, and this was found in that same area, but I don't believe that's Triassic. However, this is classic Triassic structure, and what I mean by that is this is what's called the black cap. Alright, that comes off. And this is what they call the red bed, and it is red, and I'll show you that a little closer. And this is gray shale, which originally was on top of this red bed. And then somebody stepped in this, that's a human footprint, and I will show that in detail, and pushed the gray clay, which was above the red bed, down through the red bed. And as a result, which this is the red bed, you can see it's quite red, and it is what they call the red bed. And this is the gray clay. Now, and that is the red bed. And you can see it's completely around this gray clay, which this is a human footprint, and I hope you can see that well enough to realize it, but I do have some very good shots of this, and it is a human footprint. And when it was, the guy stepped in it, it was wet, and he stepped in it, and around the edges, if you can see there is no little bumpy things, little slurpy looking things. In the middle, you can see that when he stepped in it, it was wet, and when he went up, it slurped up like that, and you get those little tiny suck-ups, I call them. And I'll show this in a better I mean, you don't have to see much more of this. It is what it is. It's a footprint. And I made this. You see this? That's where your big toe goes, and that's the balls of your feet, and that's where, you know, this is a, this was a right foot, I believe. Yeah, the right foot, and your left, your toes, the big toe is on that side. Anyway, this was, it's what it is. I found this years ago, and it's been sort of ignored, but here's the problem. This is supposed to be Triassic rock. This is the Triassic signature, red bed, gray clay, black cap, and this is the black cap. Now, if this is the Triassic period, this is a human footprint not supposed to be there. The red bed and the gray clay were laid down at the exact same time in my mind, because they have to be. It has to be wet for this gray clay to push through this red bed. They both have to be wet at the same time. And this guy slipped in here, running away from whatever was going on, and then eventually the black cap came down on top of the whole thing, and now it's separated out. Now that's just a fact. I have no other way I can explain it other than that's a fact. Now, this is also found in the area where Triassic rock is it's all Triassic rock here. It's right down the street from Dinosaur State Park. Now, never has a fossil been found in Connecticut, they say, but they're not looking for the right kind of fossils. This is a bone. No question that's a bone. But anyway, I'm going to get in close to this. You'll be able to see these very, very close. But you see almost no bone remains in mud fossils. That's the only tiniest little bone you can see there. Now, I don't know if you can see it even, but I'll show it in the microscope. And the inner parts of bone and the bone itself transitions. This is a goose's head. And you can even see the patterns of the feathers in his head here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the camera or not, but I'll show that in a better light, and they're very apparent. It's what it is. It's a duck's head, and you can see his eye. His eye is perfect in there with a little water on it. You see his pupil and all that stuff. This is a human lung, and this has been DNA tested and verified it's human, and this is the type of matrix that fascia makes. This is all, these fossils are created due to fascia facilitation. Fascia is the coating that coats all your organs, your muscles, your tendons. Every single cell is coated with fascia. It separates it, otherwise you'd be just nothing but a big ball of gooey stuff. Now, that's the red investment, and we dug inside here to get the blood out of there from the blood. And then we had it sent off, and it was DNA tested, 100% human. This also was DNA tested, 100% human. This is a fingertip. And there is no question this is a fingertip. It's been CAT scanned, DNA tested, and looked over in every scrutinous way by anatomists and Gil Headley, who owns a autopsy instruction school. It is what it is. It is a human finger. And I have many of them, and it has been DNA tested by Helix Paleo Labs, did the extraction enzyme enhancements and all this stuff, ancient protocols they used. Then it was sent off to Eaton Biolabs, they did the sequencing database match, and it was found out to be modern human. There's two regions in the mitochondrial DNA. Both of them have 100 base pairs that they matched, and it's a modern human. So the case is closed on this, and this is Triassic rock. Now, if somebody can explain that to me, I'd love to hear it. I'm going to show you some of the stuff in the microscope. Alright, this is the broken end of that bone. And you see, that's all that's left of the bone. This was the whole bone area, and they transition to what the petroleum industry calls source rock. These turn into hydrocarbons and petrochemicals and gas and oil and so forth. And they leak out of there into the rock in that area, and they become petrochemicals. Now, that is this rock right here. Now, let me bring this up, and I'll show you what this looks like. That's this one right here. And that was what you just saw right down at the end here. Now, if you notice here, you see this? There's going to be a wrapping here of this stuff called tunica. See it? See this wrapping? It's like a cloth that wraps around these things, and they all have them, and they all wrap, and that is what is the fascia that holds this thing away from everything else. It's this particular structure, and I'm going to show you that as well on the. I'll show you what that is. Hold on, I have to turn some lights off. A lot of things have to be done here. Give me a second. Now, I'm going to come right up close here. We're going to see what this fascia looks like. All right, you see that? That is what coats every different type of thing in your body, all the different organs. And let me dim the light here a little bit if I can. Whoops, there we go. Okay, now, it's kind of hard to, I'm trying to focus in here, but you see all that little black stuff? That's like blood and silicon and all that. And down here, this is what happens when the bones transition. They turn into this sort of gooey stuff. And that runs on it. That's just where the bone well, that's where it was, and now it's transitioned. And the part that is bone is over here. And that's all that's left of the bone. Remember I showed you that little spot? Now, that's what happens to bones. And here, this side here, this is where the blood vessels were, up at the top. There's one right there. See, that fed it with blood. See the little hole down there on the right? And then you have one over here. It was the artery, I mean the vein, and this is the side that sucked it back up again. Now, that's just what it is. And inside of here, you see these little tiny holes in here? See all those little holes, the round ones that look sandy looking around them? Those are ligament enthesis points, and their balls fit in those holes. They're called little tuberosities. There's a big hole. The big thing is one big cavity, and then the balls that fit in there are all these little tiny balls on straps. And that is what, they're like little springs that hold your bones together. Okay? And of course everything is infused with blood. There's holes of blood everywhere. There's little, see, that's what they call bone foramens. And that's where blood and things enter your bones. That's your bones. Now, so that is that little bone. Now, let's look at the duck's head. The duck's head is going to have a very similar fabric. They all have the same fabric. You see that fabric? That's the fabric of life. And that's on his duck's head too. You see the dead center? That's his eye right there in the center. This is the rest of his eye. And he's facing off this way. That's the way they look. That's how it works. That's an eyeball. And what it is, no. This is the duck's head, or goose's head. There's his little mouth up here. They have this little thing underneath. And of course it's got the it's got a little thing there. And now, let's see if I can get, see the pattern of the feathers? There's a big flap coming back. I guess that's, I mean, I've seen a lot of birds that have that. And then the feathers flew out from underneath all over. They're all over the head except for the beak. The beak obviously doesn't have any. But the rest is all covered with these feather lines. And some of them are just so obvious that you can't hardly understand. And then you can see his neck and everything in the back here. That's where his neck was. Center of his neck. The bone was right up there. And here's the lung. And this is the kind of stuff that's in the lung. It's all the same stuff. It's fascia. And a fascia, I did a paper called Fascia Facilitated Fossilization. And this is the stuff right here that creates a blanket around everything that you are, and every organ and every muscle and every tendon and every fiber in your body is coated with this goopy stuff. And it's like a blanket, it's fabric. And it stretches and it pulls and it does this and it does that. And it's called the myofascial system now, I think they're going to call it. It's kind of an important system in your body. They didn't pay much attention to it, but this is what it is. It's what it is. And this is the lung. Now, I'm going to come down to where the blood part of the bottom part of this, I call it the investment of the fascia. And this is the area where we pull the blood out of to do the you know, probably right in that hole, somewhere over here. But you can see this is just saturated with blood. And I have other ones that literally blood just ran out of them. So this is what we got. And it was DNA tested. It's been CAT scanned too. There's no question of what I'm saying it is. It is. And then we had that giant fingerprint. I mean, giant fingertip. And that's right here. And you see again, you see the same face. See it? This is not something that I'm making up. It's what it is. Now, I am in a very unique area, they say. This particular area is a rift valley zone. And it's one of the deepest rift valleys on the face of the earth, they say. So I'm just telling you what they say. Now, and that's what they say. Now, that's this gigantic fingertip, and that's what it is. It's a gigantic fingertip. It's been CAT scanned, DNA tested. The veins and the arteries are in here. The CAT scan is extremely clear, and I had Gil Headley, who owns an autopsy school, check it all out. That's where the apical tuft is. And that's where all these little balls invest, this little, like these little holy things here, that's what's called areolar tissue. And the tissue that goes around and slides back and forth on your basement layer, so that these areolar holes allow it to slurp back and forth. You know how your skin moves on your lower flesh. That's what it is. It's getting heavy. All right, it is what it is. It's a footprint. Now, if you can see it, you can see it. If you can't, I can't help you. Now, what I do want to show you though is that this is these suck-ups. And you see here, you see how that is smooth, nice and smooth here? And this side here, same thing, is pretty nice and smooth. But then you look in the middle, and you can see how much these little dimply looking things are. And that's from hitting it in there and slurping back up. So this guy must have been running for his life. I mean, you can see so much. And you should see what this is. That is the articulation of the bottom of the foot where it grabs in. It's pretty incredible. I made these in mud myself. Identical, absolutely identical. It's almost the same size as my foot. It's a little over 10, right around a 10. And now, so there's the top, and this is like a yellowish looking stuff, which I believe is called limonite, and it is a volcanic affluent that runs off, and it was on top of the gray shale, of the gray clay. Now, you see the red bed, we saw the red bed, see the red bed, and then underneath is this gray shale. Now, the gray shale was obviously above the red bed at one time, and it's pushed through. And the only way that could have happened is on virtually the same instant they were both wet. Now, the Triassic period supposedly ran 250 million years. I mean, ran from 250 million years to 200 million years ago. That's 50 million years. Now, I'm saying this was laid down in this particular case, virtually the same day, I would say. I mean, how can you dispute that? You can't dispute it. It's the same stuff, and it's gushed together. The guy stepped on it, and one got pushed through the other, and the only way that could have happened was at the same day, at the same time, and he was running like hell because he was in the middle of some kind of volcanic activity. And that is that's Triassic rock, and that is what they claim is the signature of this particular age when no human beings were supposed to be here. So, and no geese were, I mean, I don't know. This is what I'm just saying. I'd like to have somebody explain it to me. It's right down the street from Dinosaur State Park. It's all Triassic rock here, fully understood. There's nothing. And it's Hartford terrain with the ANE Zone 5, which is part of the Newark system, deepest rift valley on the face of the planet virtually. It's a separation zone. When Pangea was separated, we once apparently were attached to Scotland, something like that. It's what it is, so somebody should investigate this. This is not something that's silly. It's something that's being overlooked, and it's something that is our reality, and they're teaching stuff that's just not true. I can't see how that's good for anybody. So that's my point. All right, well, I guess this brings me to the point of this whole discussion, is that we're not really being allowed to think about the things that we should be allowed to think about, and your professors and so forth will literally fail you if you bring these things up to question them. Now, it's like if you had a mother that said, brush your teeth every single day, make sure you brush your teeth every single day, and you did it, and then all of a sudden you found out that is why your teeth are falling out. Well, she had all the best of intentions, and she said, brush your teeth every day. Well, they find out that doesn't work, and your teeth fall off for that reason. Well, then she should say, whoops, I'm sorry. You should not brush your teeth. You should do something else, whatever it is that makes your teeth stay in. But if she said, I don't care, let your teeth fall out because I don't want to look silly, then I wouldn't consider that a good mother. And these people are here just like your mothers. They're here to teach you how to live your life, how to understand reality, and they won't even look at reality themselves. So they are telling you something that is strictly in their own interest to keep themselves employed and to keep you feeling that they are superior to you so that they can grade you and decide what your life will be like. And they have no intention of looking at anything that disrupts that. And I mean, I've been 5 years doing this, and trust me, that is the attitude. There is no appetite for any new knowledge in academia. They just don't want it. They want to stay with where they are, and they are authorities at the things they're saying. And it's just not right. And the mother that would not let you would say, could keep brushing your teeth even though they fall out, because I said it was a good thing and I'm never going to change my mind. That's not right, and this isn't right either. People are being hurt. So here's what we got. Mud fossil revelations, mud fossils, a new science, and science theory challenge. Those are the, there's no challenge. Anyway, those are the Facebook groups that are going to present the reality. And on, I have also a .com site mudfossils.com up there, and we have Mud Fossil University on YouTube, which will have all the videos, and everybody's welcome to go there. And no, there is no judgment, and nobody's going to get hurt. You don't have to pay a penny, and if you have a different idea, well, go on about your life with your different idea. That's fine. But I will present the evidence that I have come up with, and it's a very, if you can dispute it, I would love that. But nobody disputes it. And I'm going to show you the things that I feel are 100% accurate, and I am 100% willing to discuss them with 100% of anybody that has factual evidence to discuss. So, we got a major science dilemma, and we got a major Triassic trifecta error. We've got to do something. All right, here's the other problem I got, and I'm going to leave it at that, and you can ponder what I have said. Right now, they say that light it emanates from the sun. We obviously know that. It hits the earth and it lights up things, and it runs solar panels and all that business on the earth. Well, what is it between when it leaves there and here? They don't think it's anything. Well, of course it's something. It's energy. But Einstein was wrong. He said the light has no mass. Well, obviously it has mass. It pushes solar sails. It does all those things. There's no question it has mass. And even if it doesn't have mass, his own equation is wrong, because E equals mc squared requires that there's mass to have energy. We know the sun has energy. Light has energy. So if Einstein was right, it has mass, his own equation proves himself wrong. Light is literally spinning electrons that are thrown out of here just like escape velocity on rockets. They spin off all by themselves, no nuclear particles. The nuclear particles remain, some spin, but very, very, very few. Most of them are the liquid light, and light is literally a liquid, and that's why they always display it as a liquid. It spins like this towards the earth, and when it leaves the surface of the sun and gets into the vacuum of space where there is nothing for that electron to collide with, it becomes dark energy and dark matter. As it spins through the vacuum of space, if it hits the space station glows a little bit, it warms up, it runs a solar sail. But if it doesn't, it just keeps on its path until it hits the atmosphere out here. And when it does, it creates all these different colors and lights and things like that, and it warms up the atmosphere and it grows plants, it does all that. Well, the stuff that comes out and hits the moon and re-radiates from the moon has a longer frequency. You see the spin frequencies? This has a longer frequency, and it only radiates into the lower frequency, into the lower frequency light, so the red and so forth, and orange. And that's why I'm told that blood only shows up as black in moonlight, and of course we see blood as red, and it has all to do with frequencies. So here's my issue. The sun sends out not rays of nothingness, they send out particles, obviously. The particles travel through space, they push solar sails, they have the mass, obviously. They hit the earth, they have energy, obviously. They are particles, and they bounce off of nucleated particles, which are the ones that are where complete matter is, just like a ping pong ball bouncing off of a screen that wrapped all the way around like a nucleus, and the screen would boing, bounce it off. Some of it would vibrate as heat, some of it would bounce back off as re-radiated light of a less frequency than what it hit with. It's just obvious. Now, that's just a fact. Now, well, to me it's a fact, but Einstein's theory is wrong. Now, the next thing that is wrong is that the neutrons that they say are not neutral, they are negative, and that's why they are firmly attached to protons. They exceed the mass of a proton. They always equal the number of protons or exceed it. Therefore, your congealed mass of your nucleus is neutrons and protons glued together by the magnetic force of positives and negatives, because the negatron, which used to be called neutron, is a negatron, and that negatron is firmly attached to the proton, and that creates an excessive negative charge because the negatron which was the neutron, has a little bit extra mass. So now you have a negative core. So no matter what happens, it gets negative. As you exceed more and more protons and neutrons, it gets more and more negative. Now, that keeps the electrons in their assigned quantum states, which are in a certain distance away from that nucleus, and that is dictated by the excessive amount of negativeness in that nucleus. And that's how neutrons are. They're not neutrons, they're negatrons. So, and then if you take the combined thing, the vortex electron theory, and you take the negatron theory, it solves everything. There's duality. There's no such thing as particle duality, particles and waves. It's a particle, and when it spins, it looks like a wave. If you look at that, that's a wave. Well, it's also a particle. That's all it is to it. And these are things that need to be looked at. So go to my groups, talk to your professors, get something working on this, because they're not going to pay attention because they kind of feel embarrassed. And I am embarrassed for them, because if they can't accept the fact that they have to learn things. All right, two final things. First of all, there are no such thing as protons in a hydrogen atom. There is a negatron in the center, which is a negative massive particle, and then there is an electron in the outer, and that's what keeps them apart. If there was just a proton and an electron, they would crash together. And that's why they make up all these names like gluons and strong nuclear force and weak nuclear force and all kinds of crazy things. And the more things they make up is just to cover the mistakes, because they never started from the right place. Anyway, case number 2 is this. I said that other big fingertip was DNA tested. It was actually this one. This is the distal phalanges of a human, and this is this is the vein side. I'm sorry, this is the arterial side, and it blows out the arterial side, and the vein side pinches off. Anyway, we took it right out of the deep from inside there, and got the DNA out of this. Now, we found the palm and the fingers and knuckle and most of the, well, not most, but a good portion of the hand. It's 36 inches wide, and you see these here? This is where the tendons invest. And they do this. And the big one I had over here somewhere. Wherever I put it. Anyway, the big one has the same things in it. And, no, I can't find it. I had it around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Hold on. All right, here's the big one. See this here? This is where the tendons invest. Right there. See that? And you grab a hold of this like this, and your finger can do all kinds of things. And now this one here is from the same hand, but it was in a different location. This is a big hand, and part of it was like deteriorated out of the ground, like and worked away. And this would get like this if it had eroded away. It's just what it is. So anyway, this was the one that was DNA tested. I just wanted you to know that, not the other one. But they were both CAT scans.